They are arguably the most wealthy and powerful club. They have over 100,000 paying members and incredibly loyal fans, and have the most exciting first year player in the competition. Even North Melbourne coach Alistair Clarkson said if he was still an assistant, he would jump at the opportunity to coach the West Coast Eagles.
That's the plum job in the competition. God, how could you want anything better? It's like a really, really successful historical side success, really, really well financed and supported, and they're just going to go up. It's just like, God, I'd be grabbing that as quickly as I could if I was the assistant coach out there.
So why are so many AFL assistants and past coaches not interested in the West Coast Eagles job opening? Is it just a coincidence that circumstances aren't aligning, or is it something else that is leading the people on top of the senior coaching list to look the other way? It was recently reported that Carlton assistant Ashley Hansen, who is a former West Coast Premiership player, had told Michael Voss he will not be applying for the West Coast senior coaching position. He's now become the fifth viable candidate to not go for the role. He stated he was happy in Victoria with his family and would still like to build out his coaching resume and skill set. One of the first high-profile targets that rejected the opportunity was former Collingwood coach Nathan Buckley. He even received a phone call from Don Pike, the Eagles CEO, and discussed the job. His reasoning was that he simply wasn't fully ready to come back as a coach just yet. He may also have an eye towards Tasmania. Port Adelaide's Josh Carr and Fremantle's Jamie Graham were also sought after, but both have decided to stick at their clubs. The big surprise was Dean Cox. Early on, he was pointed out as the big favourite for the job, not only because of his connection with the club in his playing days, but because of his work at Sydney with John Longmire. However, like Ashley Hansen, with his family settled in Sydney and the Swans being such a strong club, there was no real push to leave. Now the reasoning from all these coaches is real and fair enough, but is there an underlying elephant in the room? Maybe. The West Coast job right now is clearly a rebuild one. Now they do have some good young players and veterans, but they're 25 to 28 year olds a week, and they do need to use more draft picks to get in talent. It's an exciting thought as a senior coach of moulding and developing young players to fit your system, but we all know what the reality is. The win-loss record normally is poor in this period of time, and after a few years that coach gets the sack and a brand new one comes in. Some examples include Stuart Dew with Gold Coast, Paul Roos with Melbourne, although that was a succession plan, Ben Rutten at Essendon, and David Noble at North Melbourne. Matthew Nicks at Adelaide and Justin Longmuir at Fremantle are the other two rebuild coaches whose positions have been questioned in recent times and will continue to be. Sam Mitchell is doing a terrific job at the Hawks, although it is only his third season. And the most successful rebuilding coach today is Chris Fagan, who has not only survived, but is thriving. But it shows how fickle and awkward the role is. It's completely different to taking over a great team or an experienced one. You need to wait to get players in and pray they are good, still win just enough games, and then by season 4 or 5, start challenging up the top of the ladder. A lot needs to go right, and most of the time, only a little bit does. But besides the historical elements in recent times of rebuild coaches, there are just so many positives with West Coast. The financial support the coach will get is just about the best in the entire competition. Mineral Resources Park is a world-class training and high-performance centre. Not many clubs would have better facilities to develop players. Now some of the squad are already going to be a part of the next premiership hunting side. Harley Reid is the current face of the club, and he can back it up on field and has the swagger and confidence you need when the pressure is the greatest. Elijah Hewitt has been injured all year, but showed great signs in year 1, while Ruben Jinby has already played 38 games in multiple positions. Don't forget about Noah Long as a half forward, who was tracking really well before a knee injury caused him to miss most of 2024. Then down back, there is Brady Hoff, who is just 21 and plays every week on the best small or medium forward and has performed well. These are just the top line youngsters at the Eagles, and it's a nice solid group. Now they have picks 3 and 23 right now, but may need to split them if Liam Baker chooses West Coast as his preferred destination. They could use future picks in a deal, or if Tom Barrass leaves to Hawthorn, which is looking likely, use one of those picks to get Baker in. He can play in all the lines on the field and has premiership winning experience. Tim Kelly, Elliot Yeo, Jeremy McGovern, Oscar Allen, Jake Waterman and Liam Duggan are all top tier players still on the list. To me, it looks an incredibly attractive job, both on and off the field. So who is realistically left in the pursuit of the job? Well, there are still plenty of options. 2 of them are inside the building. Caretaker coaches overall do have a poor record when taking over, but Jared Schofield has done a great job. At the time of recording this, the Eagles have won 2 of their past 3 games, and the players seem to enjoy playing for him. It's impossible to know if this is just a sugar hit, but all the Eagles can do is look at what's in front of them. Also, don't rule out the Chief Executive Officer either. It's highly unlikely Don Pike will be the coach, but he hasn't ruled himself out. There's a little bit of noise steadily growing with his name involved. He's a grand final coach at Adelaide and did a great job helping Sydney from 2021 to 2023 fix up their ball movement. It's a long shot, but still a shot. There are a wide range of assistants ready, and it feels like this is where the Eagles will look. Brent Montgomery at GWS was heavily endorsed by Adam Kingsley. Andrew McQualter has already been a caretaker coach at Richmond and just missed that coaching job, coming second to Adam Uze. Hayden Skipworth and Scott Selwood, who are both at Collingwood, may also get a call or throw their hats in the ring. Even Ken Hinkley, whose time is coming to an end at Port Adelaide, might want a new challenge out west, and he is used to being in a 2-team town and all the pressure that comes with it. Keep in mind that West Coast still have won 5 games this year. They have good young talent and good senior players. Sure, there is a rebuild ahead, but it is interesting that a large portion of potential senior coach options have declined. Maybe there is something up we don't know, or individual circumstances for a lot of people is preventing them from applying. Not many senior coaching jobs will ever be as good as this one, and whoever is the 7th official coach of the West Coast Eagles will have every chance to succeed.